Welcome back to The Rebel's Edge as we anticipate the SpaceX launch. And we mean the launch of its IPO on Friday. And was that what was behind what was going on last Friday? Well, we'll discuss it with Pete Najarian on today's Rebel's Edge.
Rebels. Bang. Bang.
Gosh, Pete, I'll tell you what, Monaco was something else. People, honestly, normal people, and I'll count you and I in the normal category.
Which most don't.
Normal people don't understand how much people spend to, and you don't have to, you can get there and you can get into Monaco and you can kind of watch from certain areas for free. You're not going to get much of a view for free, but you can get there and sort of do that. You can even do they have a cheapskate skates hill, Pete, where it's this big grass knoll, hill, and you can go up there and sit there and watch as well. But if you're one of the people on one of those boats, those yachts, and they've got 30 of them lined up just in one row right there, just outside the pits. And then they've got dozens and dozens and dozens of other yachts further out in the harbor still, but you're not right there. They're all backed in, so all of the partying and everything is going on. I would think it's too much of a distraction for the drivers, except they're going so fast because half the women don't have clothes on. You imagine at a football game if you had a bunch of boats pulled all the way up there and then women are topless and they're doing aerobics and stuff on these boats? I mean, honestly, I saw some of the weirdest stuff, but I would say, Pete, because we hosted a big party with only bulls on a terrace overlooking, we were, I think, 4 stories above the track. Just literally it was underneath us. And you could hear, all you hear is, whoop, 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 as they go flying by. And it's very cool. And they had a lot of headphones and everything up there because for some people, that's a little too much. Not for me, but I put the headphones on for a little bit anyway.
Better for your ears.
Because it goes on for hours. When they're doing their qualifying, they do it up until 1:30 in the afternoon. And then they break for 2 hours and then they come back out and do it again and, determine who's at the pole position and all that kind of stuff. But the money, again, the bottles, we're talking 3-foot Jeroboams or Methuselahs or whatever of rosé or whatever these guys are drinking, Pete. And they're getting a good buck for those. I'd say about $2,400 a bottle for that. And the guys are just bring it. Bring it.
It's a different world, man.
It is. And, and those yachts, your friend, Pete, that owns the Jacksonville Jaguar.
Shad Khan.
He was there with Kismet, his boat. And, oh, my gosh, is that boat impressive. I think it's so big that I'm not sure he got it in the harbor, Pete, because during race week, there's no room for a boat that size, because when you're talking 300 feet and things like that. But anyway, well, we better talk about the markets. Sorry. We'll talk about the other stuff later. All right. So what we've got going on, Pete, is macro and why the market sold off so hard Friday. I was on with our pal, Larry Kudlow, Saturday, and I said, Larry, what do you think? Do you think some people kind of figured, well, what are they going to sell going into SpaceX? They're going to tap what they've made the most money in. And what would the fund managers do knowing that people are going to be asking for money this week? In particular, the mutual funds and so forth, they're going to tap into the stuff that's up 80% or more, which is all of the chip stocks.
Yeah.
So I told Larry that, and I said, that's what I think happened, Larry. There was no other catalyst for a 4% sell-off in the NASDAQ. The market could be soft and we could be down 1% in the Dow or whatever, not 4% in the NASDAQ, except that some of those stocks like Micron, like SanDisk, like, the AI related names in that space, the memory names in particular, they were up 300%, some of them. So why wouldn't you take some of that off the table and then have it ready for the SpaceX IPO? That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, and I'm right there with you, John. I mean, all we had to do is take a look at, okay, where are we getting hit the worst? And it became very clear exactly what you were talking about. It's everything from Micron to Marvell, whatever. I mean, something in the world of chips, anything in the world of chips that has already been on an unbelievable path to the upside, that's who was getting beat the most. And, like you said, down 4%, 1,100 points on the NASDAQ, pretty significant, although a nice little bit of a rebound today, up about 400 or 1.6%. So getting back into things a little bit, but it was interesting. And I think it was one of those days where it's okay to kind of tap and say, you know what, I'm going to just kind of watch and try to find something myself that might make some sense, see some unusual option activity that would make me want to buy it. And then that gets kind of interesting. But it was definitely a different day and on Friday. And I think that's one of those things that all this preparation that we're getting towards, this SpaceX deal has everybody kind of, moving around as well. So there's a lot of different reasons why, but I think the sensical are these ones that selling some of those chips going into this whole thing.
Well, we saw the VIX, Pete, go from 1524 last week. That was about the low, 1524, something like that. Spiked all the way up over 21 briefly. Started coming down at the end of the day, but still was, up on the end of the day pretty good, and we all understand why. But today it's down another 15%, right?
Yep. VIX has been pretty interesting, down, like you said, 13-14% as of right now, but back underneath 19, sitting at about 1860. It's been as low as just below 18 is the low of the day so far. But interesting to see how it's moving around. And you know what? It made sense. I mean, think about the kind of move we're talking about, right? I mean, the kind of move we're talking about when you're 4% on the NASDAQ and you're down significantly on the Dow. Of course, the S&P is going to get hit pretty good. What was it? Down 200 points? I mean, so pretty aggressive, and it made a lot of sense, right? I mean, it really did. But I think we'll see a little bit closer to normalcy as we get into this week, and we're already seeing a little bit of that already.
Well, let's talk about prediction exchanges, Pete, because again, I still stand by this, that they are the pimple on the butt of an elephant when it comes to the real money that is bet. For instance, whether you're talking about a sporting event like the Knicks, which we will talk about, or whether you're talking about the stock market. So take a look at this, Pete. There are people betting that today, June 8th, the market's going to be up or down. Okay. Again, really? So 84% of the money this morning was going on the upside. Okay, I kind of get that. But look at the bottom left. I should have highlighted it, Pete. Bottom left of the screen, $38,000 is how much volume is on that. So, I'd say there are probably, I don't know, Pete probably puts $38,000 on his VIX trades, folks, or any of his other trades. And this is the collective intelligence of all of Polymarket on this particular thing. We're not talking 50 million or 100 million or even $1 billion. But I mean, these days, Pete, we print $1 billion an hour, not an hour, I'm sorry, $1 billion a minute with the S&P 500, with the NASDAQ, with the Russell. I mean, so if anybody really wanted to seriously be in the market and betting that we're either going up or we're going down, you could do it in the real market where there's $78 trillion, or you could do it on Polymarket. And I love Polymarket, but I'm just saying it isn't where the stock market should be.
Right. No, you're exactly right, John. And it's pretty interesting. I think the other interesting part might be is, well, Why is that? Why is there not more people? I mean, it's one of these interesting things where I think that the opportunity could be there for somebody who really wants to maybe make a kind of a crazy move in the poly market, because with 38,000, like you said, John, that is not even close to anything. And when we're talking about some of the trades in the markets themselves. So I find it interesting. 84%, it makes a lot of sense, the direction that it's made, but that volume makes it a little bit scary because that's a little bit light, I would say. Maybe a lot light.
Yeah, I would say it is a lot light. All right, let's take a look at this one, Pete, because this news broke over the weekend. Weight loss drugs, they're huge, of course. Yeah. And somebody who was going to be competing, or so they thought, Zealand Pharma. We've never talked about this one to my knowledge before, Pete, but they had been working on an experimental medicine that they would basically give people. And this Danish drug maker had this drug Survadadude or something like that.
Impossible.
And apparently a lot of people were getting sick on it. 40% of the patients said they were vomiting. And even though the drug worked, they're like, it's not worth it. We're quitting because I'm sick. And that isn't a positive for that stock, but it is a positive, Pete, for other stocks in the space, like Lilly and the ones, whether any of these other GLP-1s or GLP-2s, they're all going to get bid up because one of their potential competitors is out. Because that dog doesn't hunt, right?
Right. And down 20 some odd percent, whatever it is, John, it's a significant amount. And like you said, I mean, 40% of the people are reporting vomiting. I mean, that is not what's going to do much help for these guys. And it's unfortunate. I only laugh because it's really too bad. I mean, it's awful that they weren't able to give people what they really are looking for. And this is a company that, even though we haven't talked about it, we haven't really heard much about Zealand Pharma. But the reality is, John, they've got big partners out there that are working with them, Roche and Amgen and AstraZeneca and others. So, they've got the right partnerships, but they don't seem to have the right thing for the weight loss, because it's one thing to get weight loss by taking a pill and letting it make its move. But the other is maybe whatever this is, whether you're taking a pill or injecting or whatever, John, but your answer to lose weight is to throw up. I don't know if that's so great. And I hate to laugh, but it's laughable, because this thing is really getting hit, and it's hitting 52-week lows today for all the right reasons. Those reactions are not what you need, nor do you want when you're trying to get the weight loss drug into the weight loss drug world, which everybody seems to want to be there for all the right reasons. There's a lot of people that are obese.
Yeah. Well, Lilly and Novo Nordisk, they're the two 800-pound gorillas in this thing, Pete, with the semi-glutides and all that. And Lilly is up from 850 at the end of April, folks, to over 1,160 right now today. So when you're basically piling on $300, people were anticipating good things for Lilly, and not such good things, I guess, for Zealand. But maybe they'll be able to reconstitute it or something, Pete. All right, let's talk about TNGX, Tango Therapeutics. 92% response rate in pancreatic cancer trial, Pete. That's about as good as you can get to have a trial where you've got, obviously, some people that are on this therapeutic and other people who are being given a placebo. But pancreatic cancer is a killer, and there's very few things that will stop it if you've got it. So if these guys at Tango have actually cracked the code, Pete, that's a really good thing. So to your point about, hey, we don't root against these drugs, folks. No. We all hope that people get helped by these drugs, whether it's semi-glutides or pancreatic cancer. And in this case, it certainly seems like they're on a path to do that, Pete.
Yeah, the path's not bad when your stock is up over 500% over the last year. I'd say that's pretty good. They got shorts in the stock, John, of 21%. I don't know what these shorts are looking at, but they're going to start squeamishly moving around, I think, into the future a little bit, John, off of these numbers. I mean, these numbers, 92% response rate for this pancreatic cancer trial that they're talking about. I mean, that is fantastic. We're excited about that. They're in phase 1 and 2. They are not in 3 yet, but 3 is coming up. And it's going to be pretty interesting because I don't know that I've ever seen numbers quite this strong, John, going into something like this, going into phase 3. But in any case, it's going to be great. They've got a great, strong cash position right now. I think that's a big deal as well. So when you kind of tear it all apart and you take a look at it, 52-week highs, it got over 30 this morning. So it's going to be interesting to see where this thing goes from here. I think it's one that I'm intrigued enough by what these numbers are showing us that it might be something that, I didn't even look yet on the option side, but it might be something that might be an options trade that could be pretty interesting in here. This is one I'm not just keeping an eye on. I think it's something that, I might aggressively take a look at this thing for other reasons, that it might be that much stronger as time goes by. So I like everything that we saw, the numbers that they put up, John. I know it's still early. Phase 1, phase 2 are very early. And phase 3 even is still in front of them, along with the SEC, or getting in there and trying to get whatever is going to happen with this thing and give them the stamp of approval. I think I look at all that and I'm thinking at 92% and 100% at some of the different numbers that they're putting up, John. I think these guys are doing something the right way right now.
Absolutely, they are, Pete, and it's great to see. So again, great news here, and great news for the chips, Pete. They're back in the chips. They're back, baby, because Intel apparently, they got the news that Google and Nvidia are considering Intel as a backup chip manufacturer. Now, that was enough to light a fire under Intel, and it carried a lot of the stocks that got hit last week back towards where they came. And I wanted to focus a little bit, Pete, on GLW, Corning, which is not a memory stock, of course. Fiber optics and all the rest is what Corning's more known for, the Gorilla Glass with the Apple back in the day, and fiber optics and communications. But Amazon entered into a pact with them to increase their fiber optic manufacturing. Great news. And at the same time, they said, well, that order is so big, we're going to basically have to plan a $2 billion convertible offering. And as soon as they said that, people said, sold, because that's more supply on the market, and supply and demand are what drives markets.
I am impressed with what Intel's doing, John, and obviously the investments that the U.S. has put into Intel as well. I mean, it's something that we're seeing more and more in terms of unusual option activity as well. That's something that shows up on our screens probably more frequently than it had in the past, and for the right reasons. I mean, it's been moving. It's had a great move to the upside. Obviously, we had Friday, but Fridays are in the past now. I'm looking at it today, John, trading about 13% higher right now. So I like what we're seeing out of Intel. I think it's something that could be another very big positive for Intel into the future. And I'll tell you, it is amazing. It's still a little ways off of the 52-week high, because this thing had run all the way up to 132 and change. Here we are just underneath 112 right now. But I'll tell you what, it sure seems to me like Intel is in the right place, right time, and there are other folks out there that want to work with them. That's going to be a positive.
Well, Pete, I thought this one was a good one to wind up with. Crypto crawls out of the crypt, and we should have had Jared grab the crypt keeper, or from the old horror movies and things, because oh my God. And so many of the people, by the way, Pete, in Monaco, number one, to all of them that are watching, thank you very much. They were very kind, saying, hello, we love you and Pete. We love watching you guys over here in Europe, not just Americans that traveled over to Europe for that big GP race in Monaco, but it was very nice that people were so kind, Pete. But most of them were pretty big in crypto. And they were licking their wounds on Friday when we traded below 60,000, Pete, for Bitcoin, and Ethereum and all the rest of them were going down hard too. But they made a pretty nice comeback today. I mean, 4% out of Litecoin, 4% out of Bitcoin. An awful lot of those coins were moving up pretty strong today. And I think one of the reasons is Michael Saylor says, I'm getting ready to buy more.
Yeah, it's amazing. He has done really, really well in the past with those kinds of things that he's been doing. And it's interesting. Obviously, digital assets, starting like you were just talking about, getting back into the green a little bit after a pretty decent sell-off, right? I mean, for a while there, we were pretty much pinned in a very tight range. Well, we broke through that range. We broke through even further and got, like you said, around 60,000, maybe even just a little bit below 60,000. But a nice move to the upside today. It's kind of giving back a little bit right now, but it's a long day. But we were up as much as 4%. Now I'm looking at it, it's up about 3%. So it's still on a nice move to the upside. But the whole crypto thing is pretty interesting to watch how this has gone. Now, can Michael Saylor be the guy who saves the day for crypto? He might be. I mean, he's got plenty of followers clearly out there, John, and hadn't done a whole lot as much of late anyway. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, whether it's strategy, whether it's Circle, whether it's Galaxy, or whether it's whomever, I think that there is some potential want to start buying again, maybe if for no other reason to be a little bit defensive about this whole thing. But it'll be pretty interesting. I think it's one of those where I think you can be a little bit slower and give it a little bit of time to show us that it's actually ready to start moving to the upside. One day does not make that for me. It's going to take a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and it should take a little bit more than that. But nonetheless, Pete, there were people that were literally,
oh yeah,
it was bad. It was especially when they're paying $2,200 a bottle for rosé. All right, let's take a look at hockey, because I think that we don't talk about it enough, because this sport has come back so big, Pete.
It has.
I remember they were giving these franchises away, giving them. I mean, in fact, nobody would even buy the one they had in Phoenix for the longest time.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell it. Now some of them are over $1 billion. And obviously, ones like probably Montreal and the New York Rangers and things like that are worth more than that. But let's give this a look and a listen to the Hurricane, the Carolina team, playing the Las Vegas Knights. Pretty interesting.
So bad for people who refuse to watch the Stanley Cup Finals, because what we just witnessed last night was absolute cinema. And to put it into NFL terms, this was 2018 Monday Night Football Rams-Chiefs level of game. Look at this, man. Look at this. Game starts out super slow. 0 goals in the first period. We think both goaltenders are going to be standing on their heads the entire game. But then we get into the second period, and the floodgates open. Within 4 minutes of the period, Vegas has 2 goals wiped off the board because of an offsides and a goaltender interference. 4 minutes later, Thomas Hertl scores a power play goal. It's all downhill from there. Because 16 seconds later, Mitch Marner decides,
watch this,
I'm going to put the team on my back. And the guy scores 3 goals in 6 minutes and 10 seconds. That is the fastest hat trick in Stanley Cup Finals history, with one of these goals being an own goal. And at this point, damn near everyone watching the game is like, okay, this is over. It's a 4-goal lead. Carolina says, hold up, wait a minute, scores 3 goals in 39 seconds in the third period, which was also
39 seconds
by any team in Stanley Cup history. Then they tie it with a minute 42 left in regulation. Don't score in overtime, ends up going to double overtime. Then in double overtime, Vegas wins the game after the puck goes off the wall, off Boosie's skate, into the net. Every single game in the series.
Look at that.
One single goal. How can you not love hockey, man? This is amazing. I feel so bad for people.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
That is amazing.
It is. It really is.
And it's the fastest. It's not just the fastest that they're scoring goals, Pete. They move so effing fast on that ice.
Yeah.
You can't imagine, if you've never been at an arena to watch a game, you can't really imagine that these guys are, obviously there's less resistance. They're on blades. We all know why, but they're running like, the guys run at the NFL Combine that are doing 4.2s for the 40-yard dash. These guys are faster than that, but it's on ice.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out though, like, look at this guy just go. I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
it's amazing. It's amazing how good they are. It's amazing that you've got two franchises, John, who've only been around a dozen years or less. And you know what? Always competitive. Won a couple when you're talking about Vegas or whatever. I mean, so you look at all this type of thing, and then I look at my Minnesota team, and we've never won a Stanley Cup. So we are the state of hockey, John, and we just can't quite ever get over that whole thing. Someday, I mean, it didn't happen for the North Stars, the Wild. It's not happened yet, but it is kind of amazing. And I'll tell you what, the one other thing that stands out for me is that the ratings are great for hockey, which they should be, because these are two great teams playing. NBA, by the way, I'm going to go to that next now. The finals with the Knicks against the Spurs. I don't know if the Spurs thought that they were going to be in the position that they are right now, John, because they had two home games against the Knicks, and it hasn't gone so well. And so now they're down zip 2, and they got beat by 10 points in the first game. It wasn't that big of a, it's not like a blowout or anything like that. But Karl Anthony Towns, 18 and 12, not so bad, 18 points, 12 rebounds. Game 2, 21 points, 13 rebounds. Big cat, Karl Anthony Towns, is a baller. And unfortunately, for all these years, he's been with Minnesota, and it just hasn't worked out. They haven't been able to get to that next level and win some sort of a title. They haven't won anything yet, but I'll tell you what, John, being up 2-0 and now going home to New York, and they've got the president coming to watch the game and everything else, which ought to be pretty interesting. I find that one to be pretty interesting. So what do you think? I mean, Wemby's he's done great. You cannot point the finger and say this guy is slumped, because he hasn't. He's playing great, but they just aren't able to get past these guys. What do you think? What do you think is the deal? Why is it just the time for the Knicks, or what? Because I'll tell you what, San Antonio cannot go down zip 3. And so they're going to have to make sure that they win this game, because if they do, another game in New York, that's going to be pretty damn tough, John.
Well, and to your point, Pete, Wemby, Wembanyama, or however the full name is pronounced, he is not to blame at all.
No.
27 points is what he's averaging, 10.5 rebounds, 3.5 block shots. He's got assists and steals in there, Pete. So the guy put the team on his back. He is not, a selfish player, but my gosh, it's the Knicks to lose, Pete.
Yeah.
And I love that, as you said. Can you imagine Trump at center court, Pete? Now, I don't know that he will be, folks. Maybe for safety, they're going to have to keep him up in one of the boxes. That's what I sort of suspect, because otherwise you're going to have an awful lot of Secret Service, Pete, in front, or not in front of him, but I mean on both sides of him and in back of him.
Yeah.
And he is a longtime Knicks fan. For as stupid as that governor out there is, Hochul, when she said, yeah, the last time we won the championship, who was the team? And Trump's like, well, the last one wasn't that year. I've been going. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see if somebody else can step up other than Wemby for the Spurs. Yeah. Maybe OKC took it out of them, Pete, because your guy Holmgren, Chet, as well as the other big center, were putting big bodies on him. It didn't seem to hold him back in the first 2 games, Wemby, that is. It didn't hold him back, but maybe they took enough out of him and the forwards that they're just not clicking the way they were.
Yeah. Something needs to change for them if they want to, turn this back into a really fun series, because being down zip 2 and having to go to New York, that's a big deal. How about this storyline, John? Chicago Bears. Now, the Chicago Bears, it looks like, I see you covering. They were going to be going to this city, right? And then all of a sudden, the whole thing started to turn around, and this happened, that happened. Well, I don't know. Is it locked in, John, that they're going to be going to Hammond, Indiana? Is that a lock, or is there any last desperate move Chicagoland can make to keep them? I don't think that there is. I think that the move has been made, and it's going to be really interesting. Now, a lot of people say, well, we're going to have to call them the Hammond Bears. I just want to correct one thing. There are 11 teams in the NFL who do not play in the city and or state in which their name is still part of, John. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, okay, you've got the Rams and Chargers. Neither one of them are in LA. They're in Inglewood. The 49ers are in Santa Clara, not San Francisco. Dallas, Arlington, not Dallas. You've got the Raiders, they're not even in Las Vegas, actually. They're in Paradise. So the list goes on and on. Buffalo, Orchard Park, Miami Gardens, Arizona, Glendale. I mean, and there's more. So it's not that that's that big of a deal. They could still be the Chicago Bears. But let me ask you this. Do you think that the Chicago, the fans are going to still be jumping in their cars and flying down there? I think they certainly will. I think there's going to be some of that. But what are some of the headaches that we haven't thought of yet, John, that if they do end up down there at Hammond, what happens with all the Chicago fans?
Oh, they'll go. They'll go. It would be a windfall for Indiana, of course.
Yeah.
And some people were posting memes, Pete, about guys with guns in Gary, Indiana, or Hammond or whatever. And it's like, oh, you don't think we got those in Chicago?
Yeah, there's no guns in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably safer than parts of Chicago. Not where Soldier Field is. Where Soldier Field is on the lakefront, there's pretty good. Yeah. But there are plenty of other places that are not. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm not in favor, Pete, of municipalities, cities funding big build-outs for billionaires like this. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was General Motors and they were going to employ thousands and thousands of workers, but that ain't the case. And they're not full-time either, because when you're slugging beer around at a stadium, that's what, 18 dates if you count, the preseason and so forth, and maybe some playoff games. So come on, that's not the kind of jobs. I'm not putting the people down that do it. I'm just saying you don't spend billions for that. You give people a tax break, maybe, sort of like New York was going to give Amazon, which same thing. If you're going to give tax breaks, just make sure it's thousands of jobs or whatever. But I'm not in favor, as a former taxpayer in Illinois, of having the taxes that the people that earned the money having no say at all in these idiots spending it on things like the renovation of Soldier Field. I thought that was stupid. Yeah. But they didn't ask me. I was more than willing to tell them, but they didn't ask me. So where do I think we go, Pete? I think Chicago tries one more time. The Bears were willing to shoulder an awful lot of the expense here, but they weren't willing to pay, $40 million a year in taxes on the stadium and the grounds around it and all that. That's really one of the big hangups, because right now they rent Soldier Field for $6.5 million a year, I think, Pete. Mm-hmm. So why would you pay 7 times as much for the taxes on the stadium that you built, and for the infrastructure build outs for the roads and the sewage and all the rest of it? I get it, but I bet they do end up going to Hammond, Pete. And to your point, I mean, the Jets, Shea Stadium was in New York. It ain't anymore. And Shea Stadium's gone. The Mets have their own stadium because they used to share it. The Mets have their own Citi Field. There is no Shea Stadium, and everybody plays in New Jersey now. But they're known as the New York Jets and the New York Giants. So do they have to change their name? Nope. And nor will they, Pete.
I'll give you one more. Washington, the Commanders, or whatever the hell you want to call them, take your pick, whatever. They're in Maryland. So, for the people who say, well, they're going to have to change their name to the Hammond Bear. No, they're not. They don't have to change their name to anything. That's the reality of it all. So interesting for sure.
Yeah. It is interesting. And if you want more interesting, tune in tomorrow, because Pete and I will be bringing you what happens today, what happened in the after hours, so we can tell you tomorrow what's happening and why those stocks are moving. Tune into the Rebel's Edge at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bang. See you then.